Good afternoon, mathematicians, and welcome to another version of digital note-taking. Go ahead and make sure you have your supplies. You need your math notebook, and you need about 6 colors. Make sure that you do have a black or a pencil. That way you can write down the appropriate information. You also need your question right here, so make sure that you do have that question. I have pre-set up my notebook, so I will go ahead and tell you what you need to do. Then you can pause the video and get yourself all established. I added page 11 here to my model of dividing fractions. So go ahead and update your table of contents, and then go ahead and turn to page 11 and set yours up exactly as mine is. You can pause the video and set yours up like this. Once you are ready, you can go ahead and push play again. I'm going to go ahead and move on. So we do have our problem here, and I'm going to read this. Rashad needs 2/3 pound of wax to make a candle. How many candles can he make with 6 pounds of wax? So seeing this word problem here, I know that I'm going to be working on division because it's asking me to go ahead and split something up into equal amounts. So I need to first kind of ask myself, what am I starting with, and then what am I going to be dividing that into portions of? So I see here that I've got 6 pounds, and then I also have 2/3 of a pound. And so I need to ask, what is he actually starting with? And looking at this problem, I can see that he is starting with 6 pounds of wax. So I know that we're starting with 6 pounds. Okay, and I'm going to try to break that up into 2/3 pieces because that's how much it takes to make one candle. So I know that I'm going to divide that 6 into my 2/3 pieces. Okay, so if you are watching this, make sure that you go ahead and write your equation here because this equation is extremely important. It lets me know where I'm starting or what my dividend is, and then also what my divisor is. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start with our bar model. And in my bar model, I want to start with 6 holes. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my line here. And I'm going to draw 6 holes. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I know that this is 1 hole. So I'm going to label all of these with 1 right here. That way I can clearly see that each piece is labeled with a 1. And I see here that I need to break it up into thirds. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my other pieces underneath. And I'm going to break those up into thirds. So I've got thirds here. There's my holes. And now that I've got my 1/3, I'm going to label that. That way I know. Make sure you're following along and doing this with me. Okay, now I am actually looking for groups of 2 right here. So I'm looking for groups of 2. So I'm going to circle my first group of 2, then my second group of 2, my third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth, my seventh, my eighth, and my 9th. So I actually have 9 groups of 2. So my answer then is that he can make 9 candles. So Rashad can make 9 candles because this right here is 1 candle, 2 candles, 3 candles, 4 candles, 5 candles, 6 candles, 7 candles, 8 candles, and 9 candles. So that information all came from that right there. Now, let's go ahead and look at how we would do this with a number line. So my problem is still the same. I still start with 6 pounds, and I'm going to divide it into 2/3 pieces. But I'm going to go ahead and do a number line instead, so we can visualize this in a different way. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 0 all the way over here, and I draw my number line all the way out until I get to 6. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop us right there. And then I go ahead and fill in. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, and then of course there is 6. Okay, so now that I have this broken up into 6, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now that I have that broken up into my 6, which is this number right here, I'm going to go ahead and split it into 2/3. So that means that I need to draw 2 lines in between here, and then my 3rd line would be right here. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then 3 right here. And again, I'm still going to circle my groups of 2. So that's what the numerator tells me, is that I'm going to circle groups of 2. Got 1 right here. Now remember, we do not start with 0. We start with that first line right there. I've got my first 2 groups circled, and I do include my whole numbers here. So I've got my first group of 2, my second group, my third group, my fourth group, fifth group, sixth group, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So I still have 9 groups of 2/3, so 9 candles that Rashad is able to make. Now, looking at it from a different perspective here, we've got our algorithm, and our algorithm means that we are using mathematics to completely solve this. So I have 6 divided by 2/3. Now, when I use the algorithm, I want to make sure that I have fractions on both sides. So to write 6 whole as a fraction, I put it over 1. So I have 6 over 1 divided by 2/3. Now, I keep my very first fraction the same, so that becomes 6 over 1 because I didn't change it. My division turns into a multiplication, and I take the reciprocal of 2/3. The reciprocal of 2/3 is going to be 3/2, 3 over 2. Now, looking at this problem, I know how to multiply fractions. I just multiply straight across. So 6 times 3 is 18, and then 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 18 over 2. Now, I do not want to keep it in that improper fraction form. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this. So this is saying how many times does 2 go into 18? So I have 2 as my divisor into 18. So 2 goes into 18 9 times. So our answer is still 9. So regardless of which way you do it, our answer is the same all the way around. Now, I'm going to go ahead and offer you a challenge, and that's what this bottom portion is for here. Okay, this is our challenge. What happens if your denominators are the same? What happens if your denominators are the same? So I have 4/9 divided by 2/9. Here is your challenge. I want you to think about this. Can you visually represent this for me? Go ahead and do it in your notes, and whenever you are done, come talk to me, and this is our next lesson. I am excited to move on and see what your brains come up with. Thank you so very much, mathematicians, and I will talk to you soon.